I call this hearing of the committee to order. If we have learned anything from the current financial crisis, it is that for better or worse, Main Street's economy is tied to the markets on Wall Street. As a result, the recent decline in the stock market has touched every corner of our lives, and the fallout is everywhere. How can we get more workers thinking about the importance of adequate savings? And two, how can we make it easier for small businesses to offer retirement plans?
Educating employees how the old model worked, the model that their parents and grandparents were accustomed to, whereby they worked for a company for 30 years, they retired from that company, had 60% of their income replaced by the pension, another 20% replaced by Social Security. Their parents didn't need to save. Their parents, because they didn't need to save, it didn't matter what the stock market did. They could put their money in a jar in the backyard or in the freezer for all it mattered, because any wealth that their parents accumulated would have been passed to future generations. It wasn't needed for retirement because they relied on Social Security and pensions. No one has gone to the investing public participants now and said, the game has changed, and if you can still rely on Social Security for that 20%, if you needed 70 to 80%, how are you going to fund that liability? Your employer is only going to kick in 3 to 6%. How much do you need to save over the next 30 years if you stay employed that long to make the math work? And my numbers show somewhere around 19 to 25% is what most people should be saving for a 30-year period. Mm-hmm. So educating employees that, you know, what happens when an employee starts working at 25, the first question they'll ask is there an employer match? Yes, it's 3%. Okay, well, I'm going to put in at least 3%. Well, is that enough? They don't know that it's not enough. Mm-hmm. So I'd say that's the first part. As far as relief for employers contributing more, as I laid out in my written testimony, there could be some sort of credit for employer contributions. There's a credit for startup costs. There's a credit for costs of educating employees. That could be broadened or increased, and it could also be broadened to include a credit against employer contributions, whether it's profit sharing, match, some sort of tax credit, dollar for dollar tax credit. If there's not money in the budget to allow that now, then it could be something that is phased in over time, or it could be a situation where those credits build, you know, on the tax return, those credits build, and the employer can take the credits down the road.
Health benefits comprise the largest share of benefit expenditures, with 2004 spending estimated at about $38 billion. Estimated spending on retirement benefits, life insurance, and disability insurance comprise more than $16 billion for a total of $54 billion in benefit expenditures. These benefits are some of the first to be cut in an economic downturn. What options do these firms have to fund employee benefits at a time when the stock market has declined by over 30% in the last year and sales have dropped considerably?
Well, I think your assessment is accurate. A lot of money is spent on benefits. The first benefit to go is usually the 401k. Health benefits are the last to go because they're the ones that employers use to attract and retain employees. So I can't really speak to what kind of relief could be given to that, and I don't know that relief needs to be given. I think obviously there's a major problem with the healthcare system overall, but that's a topic for another day. With respect to relief for retirement plan costs, as I said, there could be credits that would offer tax credits to employers based on the amount of money that's contributed, whether it's a profit-sharing contribution or an employer match. The employer would receive a tax credit. In addition to that, broadening or increasing the tax credit for startup fees, planned startup fees, ongoing maintenance fees for the first, say, 3 to 5 years. I think now it's 3 years. and the cost for educating participants. Again, you've probably picked up already. I think there needs to be an emphasis on education, because in general, the investing public lacks the knowledge that they need to make smart financial decisions. And whether whether guaranteeing a positive financial outcome is the employer's responsibility or not, giving the employee the fighting chance to have a positive financial outcome and have the retirement income that they need starts with educating and helping them understand how to invest, where to invest, when to invest, how much to invest, and so on.
What are the concerns with allowing businesses to make these larger contributions? And do you believe that pre-funding would ease some of the challenges caused during downturns in the economy, such as we're experiencing right now?
Are you speaking about defined contribution plans or
Yes.
defined benefit?
Yes.
Okay. Allowing employers to put more than, say, 25% of covered payroll in, I don't see any reason to limit it to 25%. So I don't see a disadvantage to that. I think it would be a good thing. I don't know how many employers, especially right now, would do that or could afford to do that. But by all means, I think it's a great idea.
Well, talking about doing it in the good times, obviously these are not those times, but as we look forward to the future.
There's a very broad problem. Is it a small business owner's responsibility to guarantee a positive financial outcome for every employee that they have? Probably not. It's not feasible to do that. But again, when the statistics may say that Social Security provides 50% of people's retirement benefits, and that if somebody saves 6 to 7% and the employer matches 3, they get 10%, they're going to be fine. I'm seeing a lot of people that are 55 that have $35,000 to $50,000 saved for retirement. I mean, the statistics show, if you want to talk statistics, the average account balance of people in their 50s is about $50,000. That is not enough to provide a positive financial outcome. So, we can look at who's saving and who isn't, and what the statistics are, but I'm seeing on the ground that the numbers don't add up. How the government steps in to mandate a plan or provide a plan that people can opt into, again, I come back to education. Everybody wants a silver bullet. They think that if Social Security is reformed, that they're going to be fine in retirement. Social Security was never intended to be the only means of retirement income. There's a 3-legged stool most of you probably learned about back in home economics class: savings, pensions, and Social Security. Well, Social Security is at risk. Savings is at an all-time low. The stock market is down 40%. People are questioning the validity of long-term savings. So I don't know what needs to be done, but something needs to be done. FPA and a lot of other nonprofits are already geared to try to provide this kind of literacy. There's a program called Junior Achievement, where financial planners go out to schools and teach this kind of thing. It needs to be mandated. As I shared in my oral testimony, only 3 states require at least 1 semester course dedicated to personal finance. And in another 17, it's integrated into math. So it's kind of lost in the process. So I think that's where it starts. And even public service announcements or TV ads that show modern day plan participants, not kids in high school, why you don't try to time the market. Statistical data that shows market timing doesn't work, that shows that if you're not in the market every day, you're not going to have a fighting chance to get market returns, and that you're just shooting yourself in the foot.